All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Gamer Interrupted. My name is AJ East Coast, and I am your host. And tonight, I've got with me a different face. You haven't seen him before, but we've talked about him about a billion times earlier this summer. He was our very first subscriber on Apple and on Twitch. His name is Lucas. Some know him as Major Lol. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, everyone? I'm Lucas. I'm happy to be here. I enjoy video games.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. You started coming by the podcast. You're there every week. I think you went 15 episodes in a row.
There was a time over the summer where I kind of knew you did this podcast, but I didn't really I saw the posts on Facebook.
Right.
But then I started watching them and tuning in every week, and I'm like, it's okay. It's pretty good, pretty good.
Thank you.
I just kept watching.
Yeah, I know we've been saying we wanted to have you by the show for a long time, and now I'm glad it's finally happening.
Yeah, when I was originally supposed to come on sometime over the summer, I was in the middle of a move, and then school started again, and it was just the whole.
You're a crazy man. How the hell did you move during the pandemic, my friend?
Well, I mean, luckily it was only it's not like I moved from city to city. I moved probably about a mile away.
Yeah.
From where I was. And it's not like we own the house either. We're just renting it.
Okay. That's good.
So it's not as difficult as one would think.
Yeah. We ended up moving later in the pandemic. It was a little bit easier to do. But down here in Florida, people could kind of give a shit less of what's going on. There's a pandemic? What'd you say? Okay.
Yeah, Florida's on a completely different level of anything.
It's a new vibe, I guess. I don't know. But what was I saying? I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Moving to the pandemic. Oh yeah, so you have a kind of an interesting hobby with bread making. I follow you on Snapchat with your sourdough specialties, and I've seen a lot of your different breads. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, beginning of pandemic last March, I hate to say that was a year ago.
A year ago.
Basically everyone started going to the stores, buying out yeast and flour and whatnot, just because they were like, oh, well, we're at home bored, we might as well do something.
Right.
So I hopped on that train a little bit late, up until I think I started in August, where I just started watching sourdough videos because I was just bored and I had nothing else to do.
Was this a common thing that was found on YouTube and stuff? Sourdough videos?
I just started searching for sourdough videos. I don't know what it was. It was just interesting to me, because it's not like making normal bread. You're basically using the naturally occurring yeast from your environment to help it rise. So you're not using store yeast in it. You're just making bread naturally.
Yeah.
And so I just started doing that one day.
I saw some crazy shit with mason jars and stuff. You have to wait for it, right?
So starting out, it takes about 1 week to make what's called a sourdough starter.
Okay.
In which it's basically just flour and water that you keep feeding regularly, just giving it more flour and water.
Okay.
It's basically like a pet rock, where you're basically just taking care of this little useless inanimate object that's just flour in a mason jar.
Like a project that you take home in 3rd grade. Okay, guys, don't let it die.
yeah, and they're like, okay, you're not gonna kill this, right? I'm like, maybe. I
might. I don't know.
And then I just started making sourdough bread, and then it turns out you can make almost anything that involves flour and water. You can just replace that with a little bit of the sourdough starter, and it makes it a whole different dish. So every single week I make whole wheat sourdough bagels that I have one every single morning for breakfast, and that's just
It's just your
my little
thing.
thing. I
That
like
sounds
bagels. Who
amazing,
doesn't?
dude. That sounds awesome. Fresh bagels right from home.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What are some of the other recipes and stuff that you've made?
Oh man. I've tried making crackers a few times.
Okay.
Um, which I didn't have a rolling pin at the time, and you need to get those like really really thin, or else they
Right,
just
right,
don't
right, right.
crisp up nicely. They turned out okay. Um, but let's see. So I've done normal sourdough, and then the most recent one that I've done is a cheddar jalapeno loaf.
Oh God, that sounds incredible.
That it didn't come out looking as I expected, but it was
Mm.
prime.
Cheddar and jalapeno. Oof. You know, I would dip
Yeah.
that in something like some kind of tomato base or something. I don't know.
Oh, dude, you can slap whatever you want on it.
Oh,
Personally, I toasted a few slices and put cream cheese on it.
oh
There's
man.
absolutely nothing healthy about it, but it
I
is.
was gonna say, I'm glad I don't live with you. I already lost 100 pounds. I don't want to gain it back.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm afraid to get into like frying stuff because I'm just
You'll
I
just
just
eat.
don't want that near me.
Just don't want that energy in your life.
Yeah, it
So,
doesn't matter how good of food I can make. I don't need that.
don't need it. So tell us, so where you're from originally and all that.
So I'm from San Jose, California. And I was born and raised there, but now I'm living in San Luis Obispo, still California. So I live in our area is called like the Central Coast.
Okay.
We don't consider ourselves to be like Southern California or Northern California.
Just right in the
Um,
boom.
we're just right in the middle of that, but on the coast. So I'm about 10-15 minutes away from the beach, a bunch of different hiking spots. This cute little college town. That's nice.
It sounds nice. I remember you were telling me about just like how small everything is, and it's really just kind of easy and convenient. And plus, you got such beautiful, beautiful sights around there too. You don't have to worry about the
Yeah,
nasty cityness and the smog and all that shit as much.
yeah. Just driving into LA and like seeing the smog like once like evening hits, it's it doesn't really look too nice. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, here like I can just I mean just like an hour before this call, I was over at my brother's girlfriend's house. We were just on her back deck listening to music. It was nice, sunny, 70 degrees out today.
Oof.
And I walked right over here. So yeah, everything's just incredibly close. You can walk anywhere.
Sounds
It's
beautiful.
pretty great.
Sounds absolutely beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, but first, before I forget, guys, this podcast is always brought to you by Fit and Prep Food Delivery here in Orlando. They're amazing. I love their food. They just delivered some today. We got more shrimp meals with some like Spanish rice and there was like a white fish and some couscous. It's so good. I love it, dude. I love it. It's what keeps me going. But speaking of travels and all that and beautiful sights, you got probably one of the luckiest naval careers that we've ever heard. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is a veteran, just like myself. We met overseas in Japan at like what was it, like a cultural learning class, you should say, whatever.
Uh, well, so I think you met
I met
Colin.
Colin, and then he introduced me to you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you met Colin in your first week um, of Japan in the little like cultural awareness, like, hey, here's some basic customs. Um, and then I don't know where exactly the first time we met was. We just met.
We just met, yeah, somewhere. I don't really
I,
remember. I remember you watched me get this tattoo, the one on my arm. For those of you that are listening, it's a
oh,
wolf, that similar to kind of Game of Thrones, but Japanese style. I remember you were with me
man, I
when I
was
got
there
that
for
one.
that.
Yeah, I just remembered that you guys. But yeah, we walked over there, and then we walked back that fucking 30-minute walk from the train station to the front gate. Good God.
Yeah, Dude, I completely forgot about that.
And then the fucking taxi drivers guys over there, they would charge us $10 to get from the front gate to the fucking train
The train
station.
station.
But it was so worth it though because you would be there within like 2 minutes.
So there was definitely a lot of lot of cost analysis there because it's like it was like a half hour walk. And it was like an easy walk. You just walk 30 minutes like straight,
Yeah.
or you could pay like $10 to have like a 2 minute taxi ride.
Yeah. Because for those of y'all that didn't know, we have, I don't know if it's still going on like over there. I'm sure it is, but we had curfew, y'all. And when me and Lucas first got there, it was an hour earlier than it is now. And I'm sure it's probably, I don't know what's going on. I haven't talked to anybody over there in a while, but we had a curfew. So if you were going out, say you got off at work at like 1900, 7 p.m., and then you wanted to go out in Tokyo and stuff, you're looking at like a 2 hour trek. So you got time matters, man, when you're trying to get back because you don't want to get caught after curfew.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really think about it that way. Where just like walking to and from the train station, that's already an hour,
Yeah.
and like out of your day. Um, Not even including like the time it takes you to get to Yokohama or Tokyo or wherever you wanted to go. Um,
Oh man, we had some good
yeah,
times
the
in Yokohama. I
curfew,
miss Yokohama.
the the curfew that it just sucks.
It sucks. It was just strange being told like, at 18, 19, and 20 we were over there, right? At 21, that we couldn't, go. We had a bedtime essentially, or a time that we had to be home. It just felt weird, like because I had just come from in high school where that was normal, like, and I was lucky too. My grandmother and my aunt, who I was living with my senior year, they gave me like a I think it was 1 a.m. curfew, and that was pretty generous for them. And then every once in a while, I think I broke it one time and by like 20 minutes, and I never did that shit again. I felt like that shit was gonna happen in the Navy, but worse.
I mean, the consequences, I'm sure, would be a lot worse.
Yeah. I actually did know someone that broke curfew to go get food, and he got put in handcuffs, double handcuffs, actually, because he was a bigger fellow.
Dude, yeah, it's weird. Like, they just want to go off base for a burrito. They come back on base, wrong time,
In
and
handcuffs.
suddenly it's like, man's just wanted a burrito.
So tell us what you did in the Navy.
So I was a hospital corpsman. So we're basically like the medical professionals of the Navy. Um, so during my time in Japan, I worked in a family practice clinic.
Oh,
So
wow.
we were mainly taking care of the like dependents and family members of the active duty people
The children,
that
the
were
wives,
yeah
whatnot,
the children, the wives.
husbands, yeah.
Um, so we were taking care of them while everyone else was like on deployment for most of the time.
Hmm. What was
Um,
that like? So I always wanted to ask you about that. I can't believe I never did. So when we all left and you were at home, how weird was that?
it was it was great
It was great.
because you had this tiny base who like already doesn't have like that many people on it, but then suddenly whenever the ship left and everyone left on deployment, they would be like it was just completely barren. Like we would go anywhere and there wouldn't be a wait for anything just because there's thousands less people.
Right.
We loved the ship not being there.
Bastards.
Yeah,
So then after
like
you left,
we would always have like countdowns of like, oh yeah, oh dude, when are they leaving? What are they
oh,
gone
you
yet?
assholes. You planned it, bro. So after you left Japan, you went to probably the easiest ticket I've ever seen. Where'd you go?
Let's see. So I left Japan in I think it was February 2017.
You
And
left me
then
there.
1 month later, I got the beautiful orders to Naples, Italy, where I spent the next 2.5 years just basically working and traveling. Because there we didn't have any sort of curfew. Um, basically, if it was your weekend, it was your weekend.
You
Do
could
what
just
you want.
leave and go to other countries, is what you're saying?
If you had the right amount of time to go to another country, which most of the time you did, because you can. Uh, there were so many times where I had like a 2 3 day weekend, and I'm like, okay, cool. What can I do? And you would find like a plane for going who knows where for like a 30-minute flight for like $15,
God
and
damn.
it didn't even matter where you were going. It's just like, well, I can.
Well, you are one of the most sensed of adventure dudes I've known for a long time, man. And plus, your Instagram is fire. All the pictures from over there, all the beers and the beautiful ocean stuff. I
Well,
was
you're too kind.
all of that. I was doing similar. While you were doing that, I was doing something a little different. We'll just say that.
I one thing that I absolutely loved was always getting these comments from my friends saying like, "Ah, you're not actually in the Navy," or
That's funny.
what do you mean when you say you're in the Navy? I'm like,
Oh, that's funny, man. That's
I'm just
funny.
in the Navy.
Well, let's get to some video game news. I know so you're a little bit of a video game player yourself. What games do you like to play?
Ooh. Let's see. So recently, me and my friends, um, so friends that I knew back from like growing up, in San Jose. So we all play together. Most of the time, it's Destiny 2.
Nice.
We have sunk so many hours into that game and raided so many times.
It's addicting,
Um,
man, especially after the free to play.
yeah, yeah. So it is free to play, but when you get like
Right,
into
right.
it,
It's not.
it it's not free.
I think I,
And
I
then
bought
you
two
always,
season passes on that one.
yeah. So I currently have a season pass for this
This current one, yeah.
this current expansion. Um,
You know what
so
game I
you
used to do that with a lot? Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't even touched that game in a while. I've been meaning to. I think I might touch it in a little while. I don't know.
I've always wanted to start getting into that game. However, I feel with like FPSs like that, there's a really steep learning curve where like if you join like too late
Yeah.
into it, basically everyone in the game is just so good that you just trying to learn, you would just get flamed like constantly.
Left Behind, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I would consider getting into it, but I would need like a group of friends to do that with.
Yeah. I need to try Call of Duty Black Ops, the new one. I haven't tried it yet either.
Oh, is there a new one?
Yeah, there's another one. It came out, it's like through Christmas time. I don't know. I didn't really
Oh,
pay too much attention to it. Other than that, Zombies was back. That's what I was mainly interested in.
new Black Ops.
The original Zombies style.
Oh, is this the Cold War?
Yeah. It has a story mode, which it's probably short, just like the other ones. I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm gonna play it soon.
I can honestly say the only campaigns I have ever paid attention to in a Call of Duty
Hmm.
were Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
Um,
Which was
I
fire.
thought that, yeah, yeah. The whole like White House thing,
Hmm.
and just I don't know, it was cool because I was an eighth grader at the time, and we had a little like trip to go see all these monuments, and it was just really weird seeing them, and then
Seeing
basically
him in the
blowing them
game.
up in a video game.
Yeah. Oh damn.
That was exciting. So I liked that campaign and the first Black Ops.
Yeah, the first Black Ops campaign was awesome, dude. Such good storytelling back then. Now they're so damn short for like no fucking reason.
Yeah, I think since then, I've bought in a few Call of Duties here and there.
Yeah.
Not every single one. But I don't think I've ever touched the campaign after the first Black Ops.
You're lucky Dan's not on here with us. He would fucking be yelling at us talking about Call of Duty. He hates
Is
that
he?
game. He hates that fucking game. All right.
You
Well,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it has its ups and downs. I will say I'm just always behind Warzone, man. I always will be. Warzone's my thing. I think Warzone's one of the best games ever invented. I think it's the best battle royale ever invented. And I hate battle royales, first of all. But
I'm not a
Warzone is
fan of them.
decent. Warzone is very decent. Do you play at all, Warzone?
No,
Ooh, man, that's one me and you
I
could
think
play
I had it
together.
downloaded at one point. But then I don't know. I'm just not a huge battle royale person. Like with Fortnite,
Fuck
never
that.
played that.
Yeah,
Or
fuck Knight.
uh, what's another battle royale?
I don't even know. Apex, all that shit.
I
Fucking.
did play Apex for about two
I
games,
was yeah. I played it for like a week.
and yeah, that's it. I just can't get into them mainly because I don't know what I'm doing.
It's just bullshit, really. But Warzone, man, Warzone's good. That would be something I'd consider getting into or getting playing with you if you wanted to
I
sometime.
do have a decent amount of friends that play that, and they're playing it daily. So I if I wanted to, I'm sure I could, just because I've got a decent amount of friends that are into it.
It's pretty good.
Um, and I might, who knows?
Who knows? All right, man. So let's talk about the news a little bit. So we had the developers of Sinking City, which this makes me a little upset, dude, because I was really looking forward to this game because I love that whole, you know, early American theme with like the Call of Cthulhu style H.P. Lovecraft. I love that whole thing. So this was supposed to be you're literally going into a city that's sinking and it's parallel universes up and down. And I don't know the whole story exactly what happened with the game. Something went wrong in the process, and whatever was put out to the public was taken back, from what I understand. And then someone put like essentially a fake Steam game up there of the sinking city, and the developers saw it and they're like, no, 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 this is not us. We did not do that. This is not our game. Please don't buy this.
That's that's really interesting in its own way because I don't think I've heard of something like that happening.
Right.
Um,
I know
do
people
we
do
know
shit
if
like
those
they do shit like
do,
remake Portal and Paragon and all that shit all the time, but this is different. They literally are just like um, copying and pasting essentially the game.
is it? Do we know if it's like actually like the same exact game? Is it different in any way?
It's essentially a little bit different what they're saying because it does come from the distributor, but it was removed from Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam in August. But they delisted all of the games, and then apparently, you know, people were putting up different kind of release dates for different areas of the world, and that's like a big no-no. You're not supposed to do that. And then some people enjoyed the game, some people didn't, and then they took it down. But essentially, it is kind of the same game. But I can't imagine that it's essentially a duplicate. It probably is though. Nowadays, you can just literally do that.
Man, there's got to be so much legal action that's going to go into that.
Probably. I was reading some stuff that are talking about the French courts are getting involved in about it too. But the main thing here, folk, is the developers of the Sinking City game is telling people don't buy what's on Steam right now. So
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right now. I just Googled Sinking City, and everything that I'm seeing is like, oh yeah, like developer Frogware says like, oh yeah, don't buy this game, not us. So that's
so strange.
different.
Yeah, so strange. Every once in a while, weird shit happens in video games.
Yeah, there's so much drama
So much drama, dude. Especially this
when
year.
there shouldn't be. I'm just
No.
trying to game.
I'm just trying to game. Let me play the fucking game. Remember back in the day when you could just fucking plug in the game and play it? And you, even if it was a bad game, it was not even that expensive. I'm talking the N64 games, bro. Remember when you could just plug that shit in and play it? I miss that. I miss that. Now
Man,
I have to wonder what I have to make room for. Like, do I sacrifice Grand Theft Auto or do I keep fucking MLB The Show? I don't know what to do. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. Warzone has a 100 gigabyte download. Fuck, I guess I gotta delete both of them.
Yeah, which Witcher 3 save file am I deleting? Which Skyrim save
Yeah.
file do I have to delete? Yeah, it's crazy how big these games are.
Ginormous, bro.
Because like when video games were first coming out, I mean they were what, like kilobytes?
Yeah. Very tiny. Very tiny.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense because of, I mean, what video games look like nowadays compared to Pong.
Right.
But, I mean, 100, 110, 115 gigabytes, that's like...
It's like a little excessive.
That's... it. For most people, they would have like a 500 gigabyte PlayStation. That's, such a large portion of the memory that it comes with.
Right. And you have to, and the external storage too is a pain in the ass because you have to remember what's on there and move things between it. These just seem to be gigantic storages from now on.
I did have to buy a external SSD for my PlayStation just because I had so many games that I'm like, dude, I don't even know what to delete.
I have external hard drives for everything. I have external hard drives for the computer, for the fucking Xbox, and the PS4. It's a pain in my ass.
Yeah. At this point, I have no idea what's on anything anymore.
Yeah. I have the one hard drive that's it has the Xbox logo on it, and then my one for the computer matches my computer. It's silver, and then the PlayStation one is black, so it matches kind of my PlayStation. But I have the Game of Thrones sticker over my PlayStation though.
Man, it kind of reminds me of way back in the day when we would have GameCubes, and you would have these like little memory cards.
Yeah.
With like 64 like blocks of memory on them. And the only way you knew like which memory card had what on it is like with a little Sharpie on it. It's kind of like what you're doing over there.
I guess so, man. Reinvented technology, recycled it. My recycled habits. Well, speaking of older games that are making a comeback, we got another Pokemon series is coming out. I'm pretty excited about that. The developers are looking for 2022 into the release dates for Pokemon.
I did see that. Yeah, that was just announced like 2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah, not too early. Yeah.
I mean, typical Nintendo to just kind of re-release like games that have already been out.
Right.
I mean, I say that and I shame them for that, but then at the end of the day, I still buy them. So.
Well, the most interesting thing about this is that they're saying it's kind of like an RPG open world, essentially.
It did kind of look like a Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, a
little bit.
Yeah. Now that you say that.
So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to see where they're taking like Pokemon games instead of just like, oh yeah, you can only move up, down, left, right, in these little pixels.
And now you can basically do anything that you want.
Yeah, it's different. I wouldn't say like I like it better or worse. It's just different.
For me, I'd have to say my favorite era of Pokemon playing was the DS, the 3DS eras. I'm talking X and Y, Omega Ruby, things like that.
So I think the first 2 games or Pokemon games that like I was like really really into, Sapphire was my first one on the Game Boy Advance, and then afterwards Diamond on the first DS.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that because the new region, they're going back to the Sinnoh region.
I did see that. What is the names of these?
Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then we're also getting another Pokemon Snap.
Oh, Pokemon Snap.
Another one, yeah.
Dude, that's great. We probably rented that one from Blockbuster on the N64.
That's a very old-fashioned statement now that you say that.
Right. I don't know why we kept on renting that. Like, the amount of times we rented Pokemon Snap from Blockbuster, we should have just had it. We should have just owned it.
I loved that game, man. It was so much fun. There was so much to do on that. It was a kind of repetitive, but it was very different every time.
Yeah. And I look back on it and like, it's just interesting because I think of how I was playing it as like a 4, 5, 6-year-old, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just hitting
Right.
buttons, but I was having a blast. And
There's
I wouldn't get like very far into it. I would do like the first like 2 or 3 levels, and then like just like restart that because I didn't know how to advance or something.
right. I liked having to figure out all the different like things that you did, like shoving Charmander into
Uh,
the pit and he come
oh,
out
hold on. I
Charizard,
think
shit like
my
that.
audio is a little funky.
Oh, you're
Let's
losing me
see.
there, buddy. 1 second, guys.
Hold on. Let me try messing around with some
Can you hear me?
Discord settings. Yeah, my computer just kind of like froze for like 3 seconds there, and then I think the audio for you cut off.
Oh, okay. Am I back?
Uh, can you try calling me back? It's like 5 seconds.
1 second, folks. We're gonna just take one little break. Give us one moment. We're just got a little technical difficulties here for a second. All right, guys, we're back. It wouldn't be an ETG show if we didn't have some kind of mess. We always that's happens all the time with us here at Enter the Gamer. But anyway, so back to it. Yeah, Pokemon Snap. There were just so many things you had to figure out what to do. But speaking of that, there's also a new game system coming out called Intellivision, and it's a remake of the old one back in the day, Intellivision Amico. It's this little tiny, basically plug and play into your television, and it's a little video game about this big, a little remote about the size of my palm.
Oh man,
It,
I don't think I don't think I knew what this was.
yeah, bro, this came back from the back in the day. It was really old. It's essentially the first um, plug and play for the Intellivision Amico.
Oh,
Yeah,
first released in '79.
that's right.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've heard of this. Television Amico.
There's going to be preloaded, is what they're saying, with a lot of games, and you can pre-order this system now. It's they're saying that this is like going to be the new version of the Wii, essentially a very family-friendly system and friend-family system. You know, like a lot of like party games, I would imagine. Um,
Oh man,
their main
we haven't
focus is what they're
had
saying is
many of those in too long.
fun for everyone.
Okay, yeah, so kind of like yeah, we party games.
Yeah,
Are
eight
we thinking these
players.
are just like ROMs that are like preloaded onto this?
I guess so. I think so. That's what they're doing. So they have touchscreens on the remotes, motion controls like the Wii, 8 players, up to 8 players. So if multiple people have these little Amigos, because it comes with two Amigos, which I guess is the little remotes.
The okay,
So it comes with two of them, but I guess if your buddies come over, you can get some more up in there. You guys can all
you
play
can link
together.
link some.
Yeah, link them together and whatnot. There's a whole list of
Interesting.
games that I think are coming out. They might already have them out, but you can pre-order this whole system right now from Intellivision or on GameStop, which and I'm pulling up the list right now. Yeah, about $300 for the Intellivision. Oh, okay. Actually, they have the white version is 250. So is the black version, but then they have a limited edition purple one for 300.
People love limited
They
edition
love the
stuff.
different stuff, yeah. But yeah, this is like a cool little thing, man, because you remember how fun it was. This I think this is kind of marketed a little bit more towards our age group, you know, because we had a good time with the Wii, people coming over. We were kind of that generation that was like, come over, hey man, you want to come over and play this game? You know, like 5 or 6 of y'all hanging out in downstairs, you know, all of us trading controllers, like who's got next, you know?
Oh man.
Those were the days, bro. So I think this thing is kind of a little bit marketed towards us because it's got things like asteroid, cornhole, Astro Smash, like a bunch of different kind of party games.
Just yeah, random party games.
Right.
I think that's super cool because I mean I think of like going over to somebody's house on a Friday night and
Right.
playing Mario Party, and just all these like different like mini games and that were a part of that. Um, there's just a lot of childhood memories that go into that.
It was a very different social experience of playing video games. Nowadays, you can do that with up to 16 people or whatever, but you're just hearing voices. You're not actually hanging out with anybody.
Right. And as great as it, or as great as it is to be able to play with a bunch of my pals over Discord, not
Right.
have to leave my room, it definitely does take away that social aspect.
Hmm.
Um, so I think this will be cool. Yeah, it looks like it's releasing in April.
Yeah, April. So you guys can to get them going now in the pre-orders. I'm probably gonna pick me up one of these, man. If it's gonna be more available than the PlayStation 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I might play it, man. It looks like a good time.
Looks like, I mean, this is just based off a 30-second Google search, but it looks like they're also, um, you can use like a Bluetooth controller on either your Android or iOS device. So it might be
Really?
like an app,
Oh, that's cool.
like an app you would download to like
Yeah.
just connect to
So
it.
if someone has the home system, you can also invite other people over and play with your cell phone. That's awesome.
Yeah, at least I think that's what I'm reading.
That's really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to this thing, man. But also in the news, we've got Avatar Studios was announced by the Nickelodeon guys. So they're going to be coming out with new Avatar themed based content. Of course, this is another millennial thing that they market to, man, because we grew up with that. One of the best series ever. I watch it. I go back and watch it all the time, just here and there. I don't really care for the Legend of Korra that much, but man, Avatar is so cool. So it's good to see that there's more stuff. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a further down the line stuff, more stuff about the Fire Nation. Maybe they'll explore different nations. Who knows? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that these companies are basically targeting us because everyone loves nostalgia. Like
Yeah,
that is just the most there's no way to describe the feeling other than just comforting and nice and just like wow, this takes me back.
right.
Um and you have anything that gives you that little bit of nostalgia and you're like, "Oh, dude, give me that."
I got into argument
Um
with someone about why I had Disney Plus other than like for Mandalorian and like WandaVision and stuff. And I was like, well, because sometimes it's pretty cool. I want to go on there and watch an old Halloween movie that I used to watch all the time, or I want to hop on there and watch Simpsons and shit. It's a cool, nostalgia factor
there's
like
a
you're
lot
talking
of things
about.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think it's like you said that they're definitely appealing to the nostalgia. And
And I think that's what like most companies are doing nowadays. It's not even
yeah,
about pumping out new content. It's about like, oh yeah, how much do these people, want to pay for their memories?
refreshing the memory.
Yeah,
Because speaking of that, Nintendo's releasing The Legend of Zelda again. There's going to be another Legend of Zelda on the Switch now.
like an original,
No,
a
just like
different
I
one,
think a different one next up to Breath of the Wild. So
like
probably that kind
like
of
different
style.
from Breath of the Wild 2
Maybe I don't
kind
know.
of thing.
I guess it could be Breath of the Wild too. They haven't really given too many information about it too much. But yeah, The Legend of Zelda again is coming out.
I do love Legend of Zelda. So my phone case actually,
Really,
little nerdy. I don't know if you could see that in the camera there.
it's nerdy as shit.
Thank you. So I've had that as my phone case for years now. I just love Zelda. I have a little ceramic ocarina of time somewhere on my desk over there. Um, so Zelda's cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2, it'll look good. Legend of Zelda, it'll look awesome. We're excited about it. A lot of people are continue. It's one of those games series that's never gonna die. It's never gonna die. They're gonna continue to put out Legend of Zelda stuff for pretty much probably another decade or so, I would imagine.
I mean, it markets towards like so many different people.
Hmm.
Because there's like a lot of like um there's like our generation who grew up with the
Hmm.
N64 and playing like Ocarina of Time, but then it also markets towards these like older generations where when it first came out on
Yeah.
the Super Nintendo,
Yep.
um, who are like still following along with the series like religiously. So I think it's pretty cool that like such a large, diverse amount of people
Yep. Diverse.
are just like super into it. Um, yeah,
It's a good time, man. It appeals to everyone because it's got the action, the puzzles. It's got all kinds of stuff.
yeah. The puzzles that's another
The puzzles are another
definitely
thing.
interesting
When I was a
memory
kid,
for me because
what the
like
fuck is this?
the amount of hours that I would put into like say like Ocarina of Time as a kid, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was still having a blast. And then I go back like years later, um, just a few years ago, I tried to replay Majora's Mask,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, oh, this game is hard. Like
It is,
how is
man. This
this
shit
meant
is hard as
how is
shit.
this meant for kids?
Oh,
Like I can't do that game without a guide.
right. The guidebooks, man. The guidebooks were the thing. Oh man. Well, some other in a quick update on news for God of War. They're saying it's ready when it's ready. Essentially, no release date. And here at Enter the Gamer, we love that. Just fucking finish it when it's done, and we'll play it when it's done. I don't care when it comes out. Let me know later. Like that's the biggest problem that a lot of companies have. Like we'll promise you it's Christmas morning, 2021. You're gonna have Call of Duty Black Ops, and then they come up and say, "Oh, just kidding, we don't have it." That's the
As long
worst.
as it's done.
Yeah, so just fucking. They said God of War Ragnarok's coming. Update us with some trailers, put out some concept art, build the hype, and then when
Get the people hyped a
yeah,
little bit, yeah.
a month before it releases, say, all right, this is when it's coming out, or whatever. 6 months before, when you're fucking finished, when you're ready, not when you need to go into testing phase. That does not mean finished. Just because you fucking slapped the CD together does not mean the fucking game is finished. That's coming from my perspective as a game designer. I'll tell you that. I'm talking when everything is done, and I'm talking about Cyberpunk fuckers. That's who I'm talking about here.
I figured that was directly about that.
Right to him. Speaking of other people that we hate, Ryan Johnson, motherfucker, is still trying to push his Star Wars series. No, stop! You ruined it. Your dream for Star Wars is over. Just fucking stop. I'm so tired of people trying to ruin what we like, man. That's one of the most important nerd cultures ever.
Is he trying to like recreate the trilogy or what? What is he?
Yeah, like a whole new fucking trilogy. That's not necessary. Just give us other kind of content. And you should not be the one doing it because it was just very, very, very bad the first time around. And he should not be in charge of making any other things because he fucked up Star Wars so bad. Can you imagine what he'd do with 3 movies? How could anyone trust him?
Oh man.
How could anyone trust him?
As a person who's actually named after George Lucas,
yes.
my mom was in the delivery room giving birth to me, and the credits for A New Hope came on, and she's like, "Oh yeah, George Lucas," and then that's where my
amazing.
first name came from.
That's awesome. That's an awesome
Yeah,
story.
there's a little fun fact.
Oh, that's really cool, dude. Well, the only good news that comes out of it is that Disney's releasing the delay of them, probably because they want to make sure they're not fucked. Hopefully. That's awesome, and named right after George Lucas in that moment. That's so cool. And
yeah, my mom was a super nerd, which is really odd because my dad he was never really too into like any like superhero thing or Star Wars, any fantasy.
Right.
So it's really interesting that the nerdy aspect of the family came from our mom.
Well, you know how much I love Star Wars. It's fucking tattooed into my skin. I got, So this shit matters to us. So fucking don't fuck it up this time around. If it does end up him being the one to do it, I really hope it's not. But it's going to be a shit show either way, in my opinion.
You know what? You know what wasn't a shit show?
What's that?
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian was not a shit show, and it's amazing. We're looking forward to part 2. Oh, God, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait. Well, we talked last week with Griffin about the NCAA was coming back to EA Sports, which was awesome. It was such a good football game back in the day. People now want to see a new baseball game other than what Sony puts out. Do you remember MVP baseball? Excuse me. MVP baseball back in the day. People want to see
So
that one come back to EA.
I have two memories when it comes to like baseball video games. One is Mario Baseball
Yep.
for the GameCube, of course. Um, but I do remember going over to my friend Jeremy's house as a kid, and he had this one baseball game for like the PlayStation 2.
Hmm.
I couldn't remember what the name of it was. It might have been that. But it was interesting. I wasn't really too big into sports, but we still enjoyed playing it.
They're good games, man, back in the day. And my only problem is that maybe EA would fuck it up again, just like they do with everything else that they've put out the last decade or so. But
Everything.
I think the game would be doing a disservice to themselves if they didn't at least try. Because like you're saying, the nostalgia factor is big right now. So that MVP Baseball '05 was an awesome game, and a lot of that had to attest because that was some of the best baseball we've ever seen since like the '70s and '80s. Where that was just an amazing time for baseball. But now we've got a shift in baseball. All the younger kids now are starting to come into their own. So it'd be interesting to see if they could actually put that game together. I don't know. Well, those are all the news, Luke. We're gonna bring it down to our top 5 segments. I decided to bring these back. We stopped doing them for a while because I just fucking ran out of ideas for top 5 segments.
I mean, after you do so many, it's just like
Right.
what can I talk about?
What can I talk about? Right. But so we're gonna do. Last week we did top 5 games we wish had sequels. Now we're gonna do top 5 movies we wish had sequels. And we're gonna start it off with, for myself, the 40-Year-Old Virgin Part 2. That would be awesome. Like some kind of reunion. Maybe there's like another version of the story. I don't know. Just something to do with with the 40-Year-Old Virgin. I think that'd be so funny.
Man, that I will say. So I've only seen that movie once, but I remember actually the first time I saw it was in Japan.
Yeah.
And I remember loving that so much. Like I don't know why I waited so long to see it. Um, yeah, it was great.
I love
think the
that
second
movie.
one would be pretty funny.
What about you, man? What's a movie you'd like to see a sequel for, number 5 for you?
Oh, let's see. On my list, I see role models.
Oh, Role Models 2
Anything with Paul Rudd in it,
is
is just fantastic.
he is wonderful.
I've seen that movie so many times, and plus I kind of I'm really into these like early 2000s, late 2000s like raunchy comedies that role models kind of fits that category.
Is there another Ant-Man coming out?
Ooh.
Because that'd be awesome to see him another Ant-Man. But no, I agree with you that early 2000s raunchy comedy it's awesome. I love all the movies from that time frame. I've seen almost all of them a million times, like American Pie.
It's
and stuff.
interesting because like I recognize them as like most of them are like pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like they're just not good. But there's something about that like oh wow, this movie is awful that makes me love it so much.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that, dude. And
But not calling Role Models bad. Role Models was fantastic. Talking about other raunchy comedies.
can you imagine seeing all the I forget the young kid in that Stanley or whatever his name was, all grown up, and you've got Christopher Mintz-Plasse. He's still acting. That'd be funny to see him, Sean William Scott again, and Paul Rudd. Oh man, and they could do so much more with the LARPing too, because that was what a biggest thing about that movie is that people remembered LARPing out of all of it.
I think that was pretty cool because it also like tailored to like the nerdy
Right,
kind of people
right.
who maybe didn't feel like too comfortable around like the other kids at school.
Right.
But it all like it was heartwarming,
It was a good
but
movie.
like in a really funny way.
Right. I think they air it every once in a while on TBS, but those kind of movies, when they air all that stuff from back in the day when we were kids, if they take out all the stuff like like the bad words and like the raunchiness, and they air it for TV, it's just not the same. You have to watch those movies originally, guys. If you haven't seen those kind of movies, you got to watch it the regular way because it's just not the same. But speaking of those kind of movies, and it seems like we might be on the same wavelength here. I've got, for me, number 4, Step Brothers number 2, which I think all of us have waited for forever. And they need to do something because they came out with that Sherlock Holmes bullshit. I got like 30 minutes into the movie and I turned it off. I was like, this is really bad. But
Oh,
Step
man.
Brothers 2,
Yeah.
man, we need to update it, man. Like in the workforce, and maybe one of them has a kid. I can imagine Dale has kids. That'd be funny as fuck. Or maybe Will.
That's one of those movies where like, that movie came out 14, 15-ish
God,
years ago,
forever
but like
ago.
you still hear quotes like, almost every single week somebody's like quoting it, like whether it's like something subtle or not, or just saying it's the Catalina wine mixer.
Fucking Catalina wine mixer.
Yeah, like that's just
It's a
being
timeless
quoted
movie.
so much.
It's an iconic, timeless movie. Never be forgotten.
Yeah. Let's see. So next on my list, I don't know if you've seen a Donnie Darko before.
I haven't seen that. No.
So it is it's not a raunchy comedy. It's a super trippy early 2000s movie, like about kind of like time travel.
Ooh.
The star of it is my boy Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh hell yeah.
Gyllenhaal, however you want to pronounce his name.
We do love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Um, yeah. And I remember seeing that for the first time in like seventh grade, and it's one of those movies, kind of like Inception, where you see it for the first time, and you're like, wow, I didn't understand any of that, but you still really liked it.
Right.
And then the
Right.
more and more you watch it, the more and more it like makes sense. Um, and I really like that. There technically is a second one, but the second one was so god awful that I don't consider it
Don't
to
consider
be
it to be
part
one.
of.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would like a real second one.
Donnie Darko too, huh? Well, for me, man, number three. I'm a huge wrestling fan. Ready to Rumble 2. Ready to Rumble was the early 2000s movie too. It was about WCW right before WCW ended. And it was about these two guys that were huge wrestling fans, and they kind of believed, they weren't sure if wrestling was real or not, but they kind of believed it a little bit too much. They're kind of our age too, which was really funny. And they go visit a professional wrestler because he gets like screwed out of a deal, and they want to go help him out to like make him back into the company. It's so cheesy and it's really funny, but I think it could work now in the current market, especially if they use someone like popular in wrestling and put him into a movie. I think it would work pretty funny because that would appeal to a lot of audience that people watch that movie back in the day.
Yeah, I had never heard of this. However, I mean, I'm just googling some pictures of it, and just I think so many movies from that general time frame, like the early 2000s, just
Hmm.
are so unique in their own way.
You need to watch this movie. Please promise me you'll watch Ready to Rumble, bro. You have to check it
I'll
out.
put this on my list right now.
It's so cheesy, but so good. What about you, man? What do you got for your number three?
Let me pull up my list again. Where are you? Got so many tabs open. Let's see. Another movie. I I don't even know if I want to put this on my list, but I'm going to. Um, so I'm gonna say Fight Club
Ooh, okay.
because of how like that's such like a classic movie that like just hits so many like heartstrings and just so many different feelings attached with it. Why I don't want to put that on my list, well, obviously because the ending, no spoilers, but it's been years. Um, but also I feel that movie just possibly doesn't need a second version of it, just because
Yeah,
the first version was just so perfect.
iconic on its own.
Yeah.
I kind of
So
feel that way
while
with.
I would while I would love to see it, maybe it's for the best.
I kind of feel that way with my next movie, Pineapple Express 2. I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it would just be good to get James Franco and Seth Rogen together again in some kind of form. Whether it's this version
Yeah.
or not, I don't know.
I mean, I think they've been talking about a Pineapple Express too. I mean, that's one of those movies where
It just needs it.
they've even like talked about it and they've joked about it in other movies. Like what's that one movie? This is the end.
This is the end. They talked about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Where I think they're like tripping on something, and both of them are in the same room together. It's like, you know what we need to do? We need Pineapple Express 2.
Express 2.
And and then there's like a whole scene of just them trying to like recreate it, but like god awful, just using like little like toy cars to
Make the movie.
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember that part. Oh, what about you, man? What's your number two?
Let's see. Number two, I'm gonna say Super Bad.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Same time frame. And this is another one of those movies that I've seen so many times in my life, and every single time, like it doesn't matter if it's been years since I watched it or like a week. I just still get the same like, wow, this is fantastic.
It is
Um,
fantastic.
Jonah Hill is one of my favorite actors. Michael Cera, he's definitely up there too.
Fucking
Um,
wonderful.
his just how awkward and uncomfortable he is in everything. It just really ties so many things together.
It's just he's
Like
just the best, man.
yeah, yeah. He's the best at being uncomfortable.
He's made a whole career out of being uncomfortable. That's the funniest part.
Yeah.
Oh man. For me, that what would you set up for that movie though? Like, what would be the premise? Like for them, maybe in because later in life, like kind of thing, or what would you want to see?
Ooh. I mean, I guess you could say the same thing about when they were pumping out the Hangover movies,
Hmm.
where it's like, cool, you would really like a second one, but it's like, what's next? Um, so I don't know what the premise
I
would
don't
be.
know. It's
Um,
interesting.
I think that's just a movie where like I wouldn't even care what the premise was
As
if
long as it is, yeah.
if it came out, I would just go see it, not read a single thing about it, just go.
It's a timeless movie, man. Like every time you watch it, it's just so good. For me, my last one would be Grandma's Boy number two. I don't care in what kind of form, just like this. I don't care what happens. It just needs to happen in some kind of aspect. And it'd be really funny to see that in like the modern game design world too, like in a huge studio or something like that. And maybe it's like
Yeah,
a young developer that lives with his grandma or something like that. But there's like all the
yeah.
references, and maybe Nick Swartzen works for that company or Alex works for the company. Jonah Hill
I
could
think
work
a
for it.
revamped version of that would definitely be super cool because yeah, you see the video game that the main character is making in that,
Yep.
and you look at that video game that he's making like now, and you're like, wow, this is not good. This is so simple. This is such a worthless game. Um,
Demonic.
yeah. But I feel if they redid that, they could definitely do something a little more up to date with
Right.
the video game that they're making.
It'd just be so interesting to see like modern everything, like the Xbox, the PlayStation, everything. Oh man,
Yeah.
bring us home, man. What would be your last movie that you'd want to see remade?
I'm going to go ahead and go with The Other Guys.
The Other Guys. Okay, that's a
The
good
Other
one.
Guys, I just rewatched that just a few weeks ago because my one of my brothers hadn't seen it, and I think it's extra funny to us because I don't know why. It's just great.
It was just a good film, man, and it's funny, and they could do a lot with that too. Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg are just great, and them together.
Yeah.
That's one of
And
those that probably needs a second movie, honestly, an updated
there
version.
are a lot of routes that they could take with that, because there's so much like high end like corporate crime like going on like every single day that I'm sure
CEOs and
they could
stuff.
have an endless amount of topics that they could basically do a second one off of.
They'd be higher level detectives and shit. That'd be so funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man. Well, that is it for us, guys. The top 5 segments that we have. Did you see anything else in the news, Luke, that we might have missed?
Ooh. I think just off of a few minutes of research, I think we're probably
A
good.
few minutes of research. The only thing I forgot to mention, guys, is there's a university that's already pulled out of the EA Sports game at the NCAA. Tulane University pulls out of it. I hope this doesn't continue to happen. I don't want any other university to pull out, but please just keep Notre Dame forever and use USC and all the big schools, because otherwise what's the fucking point, right? Well, that is it, guys, for us. Thank you for joining us with Lucas. Anything else you'd like to say to plug yourself, follow you, whatever?
I mean, my Instagram is Major Lawal, MAJORLAWL. That's just a word I came up with when I was like 16, not 16, like 6th grade. Go ahead and follow me. I have a picture of Stu Pickles. That's my profile picture. I don't know.
Stu Pickles.
That's about it.
Well, guys, we're going to cut over to our shout-outs real quick. Thank you to ROE Gaming, Havelock, Hybrix ATX Summer Camp, the Orlando Wizard. If you're interested, actually, the Orlando Wizard and I are going to AEW this week, All Elite Wrestling. We're going to get some footage from there. That'd be pretty interesting. Modern Programming, head over to modernprogramming.com. Check out their app on the iTunes or the Apple Store, Anti-Pong. It's another version of Pong. I think it's $2.99 maybe, but you get the game forever, guys. It's an awesome game. The AI in that game is smart as shit. I hate it. Makes me mad. And of course, Fit and Prep Food Delivery. If you're in Orlando, they're the best food delivery service that we have, man. Vegetarian, pescatarian, anything. You just hit them up. You tell them what you want, what you kind of stuff that you like, and they'll make custom food for you essentially. Our VIP fan is the Monster New Jersey NJ. He is that's the Meadowlands Monster. He's also a professional wrestler, and he's big into video games as well. He's 7 foot tall, that man. Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Yeah. Thanks to all of our new fans on the podcast platforms. You can follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. This episode and more are available. I'm behind on one episode. There were some things that broke down with the audio between me and Griffin last week, so I've been adjusting some of the audio in slowly, so bear with me on last week. So you'll get a twofer next week. If you subscribe, you'll get this episode and Lucas's episode. This episode and last week's at the same time, so double the content. You can follow myself at AJ_East Coast on everything, and all you have to do is search ETG Actual on pretty much every podcast platform out there. I've seen people are starting to put us out on all kinds of other kinds of stuff too. It's weird. But thank you so much, man, for coming by. It's been awesome catching up with you live over the internet. We've got to do this some more, and we got to get together and play some video games as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry it took this long to...
Took 9 months or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm finally here.
Well, man, it's been awesome. You are our very first subscriber, very first fan of this thing, and we are just days away, guys, from our 1-year anniversary of Gamer Interrupted. So thank you guys for all the support, and we will see you again next week. My name is AJ East Coast, and I have been your host. Have a good one, guys.